I do think that there is that it is way sort of overstressed that the internet is dangerous and that there are bad people on the internet, and it's basically because the media sort of jumps on the few cases that have been out there, and they also don't often give us the entire picture, the entire story. In the major cases, they weren't strangers who just found a 10-year-old kid online and the kid said, okay, yeah, I'll meet you, and then they abducted them. Generally, there was a history with the children who were at risk online also being children who are at risk offline. And so they do sort of hone in, and they have this sort of radar that's pretty scary, but that's it. There's generally a backstory that we don't have all of the information for. And I think that the main thing is that it's just really not dangerous when you look at the numbers online. There's 1.64 billion people right now online, and every day there are 84 million children online. And there have been maybe 5, maybe 10 in the last 15 years, 5 or 10 cases, and none of them were just random. And so, here we are with the sort of Rome burning, from my perspective, where there's all this emphasis about, oh my God, somebody who says they're 7 asked my child what their name was and what school they went to. They can't. No 7-year-old would do that. Well, yes, 7-year-olds do that every minute of every single day. Pedophiles, on the other hand, do not come online, go randomly find a 7-year-old kid, and start asking personal questions. They know to stay under the radar. So it's really a matter of educating people about what's real versus what's not real, and I think it's been said several times just during this conference. I'm really glad to see the shift, of thinking. But what happens offline happens online, and that's been true. I've been online since the late '80s, and that's been true since day one. So, in fact, the dangers are more emotional than they are physical, especially for young people, where young people's identities are being created and stolen, and they're being put in compromising positions with Facebook pages they didn't even create, and kids have a million stories like that, and those kind of things, I think, are much more prevalent and much more serious emotionally for young people. Now, that doesn't mean that there isn't risk. There is always risk online like there is offline. But, the way we teach our children to look both ways before they cross the street, we don't just keep them in a pen and say you can never cross the street. And so we're in that same situation now where all these kids are online, and we need to teach them how to be good netizens, how to be good citizens. So from my perspective, it is not scary online. It's much more scarier offline, what's happening every day in people's communities, within their families, and in their backyards, than what's happening online.
Right. So why is it that we only hear about the bad stories in the media?
I guess nobody wants to read that all kinds of great things happen today on the net. I think sometime in the 80s there was a TV show with good news, and nobody watched it. So, I think that's part of it. We like the sensationalized news, and it's with the drama sort of it. So it's unfortunate that people don't know about all the great creative stuff that kids are doing online, and there's just so much of it. They're learning so rapidly, and their lives are expanding, and their knowledge is expanding, and they're collaborating, and it's just amazing. And we don't hear about that. Instead, we hear about the 5 children out of 1.5 billion who have had a problem in the last 15 years. So.